What an intriguing set of fixtures in Matchday 1 of the 2024-2025 African Champions League. There were some expected thumpings, there were some unexpected upsets, some end-to-end action, and some very boring clunkers. We're going to recap most of those matches on this episode of the African Football Roundup. Welcome back to another episode of the African Football Roundup on the African Five-Side Podcast. I'm your host, Maher Mizahi. This podcast is brought to you by africasacountry.com. There's a new article out on africasacountry.com. It's called Russian and Waiting, and it's about how through some mismanagement, a lot of Western nations have lost their influence on the African continent, and that void, that vacuum is being filled by Russian influence. So I recommend you guys check the article out. It's going to be in the description below. Let's talk about the matches that we saw yesterday. There were 8 matches. At my time zone, the matches were at 2, 5, and 8 p.m. Some matches were being played, many were being played at the same time. So what I actually ended up doing was watching one half of some and then the other half of others. As a result, keep that in mind and take all of this analysis with a grain of salt, as I didn't really watch any one match throughout the 90 minutes. It was mostly 45 minutes of one, 45 minutes of another, and some matches I didn't get to watch at all. So those ones I won't be commenting on. But the first match that I did watch, the first half of TP Mazembe and Mouloudia of Algiers. And the first thing that struck me, I turned on the match, it's 2 p.m. It's a Tuesday afternoon. And Lubumbashi is not really, the atmosphere is not raucous. And that's been one of TP Mazembe's main advantages in this competition, in African football in general, has been their home field advantage, because they really, really do have a great home crowd, and it's an intimidating home crowd, which is usually, a lot more than we can say for a lot of countries in Central Africa, a lot of clubs in Central Africa. And so I turned it on and I see large parts of the stands that are empty, and I'm thinking to myself, that's not good. First step. And then in the first 20 minutes, I see that MC of Algiers is really dictating the tempo thanks to their, in my opinion, their brilliant midfield. They have Mohamed Ben Khamessa, an Algerian workhorse midfielder that's played for a lot of big clubs in Algeria and even played a few seasons for Malaga in Spain when they were in the second division. They also have Mohamed Zougrana, an Ivorian midfielder that I think is top notch. I sung his praises very highly a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and I think he could be one of the next Ivorian players that's either going to go to the Middle East or going to go to Europe. But he's one of those midfielders that can do absolutely anything. You can put him in attacking positions and he can be creative. You can put him in a defensive position and he's going to be a magnet and destroy everybody, tackle people, make 10 interceptions per game. He can do absolutely anything. He's a jack of all trades. And him plus Ben Khamessa plus this guy named Larbi Tabti. Larbi Tabti, if you watch him play, I mean, if you just take a look at him, he's bald head, big Salafi beard. He's got the tights down past the knees, so you can tell or at least he gives off the impression of being a very religious person. You're thinking to yourself, who's this uncle? Is he here to play football, or he just come out of the mosque? But man, he's a magician on the ball. Some of his touches, especially with the link-up play, like one-touch flick-ons, incredible. His vision is great. And he just thrives in that role in front of that double pivot of Zougrana and Ben Khamessa. So that midfield of Mouloudia of Algiers was doing work in the first 20 minutes. And I looked at the statistics. After 20 minutes, MC of Algiers in Lubumbashi, in TP Mazembe's house, had 55% possession. And they were also being very smart. Whenever they were fouled, they would take a break. My foot hurts. Please bring out the magic spray. I need a drink. They would reset, reorganize, and break up the tempo. Now, towards the end of the first half, TP Mazembe started taking the game to Mouloudia of Algiers. And a lot of the spark came from their left winger, who we spoke about time and time again, Oscar Kabouit. Just 18 or 19 years old. I don't know if he had his birthday yet. I said he reminds me of Vinicius last time around. And in this first half, I felt really good about making that comparison. Again, I'm not ever saying that in a million years he's going to become Vinicius, but he's just a live wire. He was creating chance after chance after chance, absolutely undressed the MC of Algiers right back, Mohamed Reda Hleimia, who's an Algerian international. He's played a handful of matches for Algeria. And whipping in these low crosses that Sheikh Fofana, the young Malian striker, was trying to get on the end of, but it didn't really work. But other than those two, Kabouit and Fofana, I noticed a real lack of quality in Mazembe's front line. They had another guy, Mujuya, they had another guy, Diouf, and it just wasn't the front line that they had last year when they had 6 or 7 goal scorers. Beya, Fili Traore, Kabwit, Kinzumbi, Likonza was getting in on the goals. They had a lot more quality in the attacking end, and I noticed that it hit me right in the face that Mazembe, they don't have the quality that they had last year, and therefore I don't anticipate them doing as well as they did last year. And then towards the end of the first half, Mazembe started to get in their rhythm and started to play their football. And I just made another reflection. Mazembe are so comfortable playing these long balls, diagonals or straight up to the striker, and playing at 200 kilometers an hour. And I just looked at that match and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is a clash of styles because the North Africans, especially Mamelodi of Algiers, they wanted to put the ball on the ground, make 5 yard passes, matriculate the ball up the pitch little by little by little, predictable passing sequences, have the third man, off the ball, make the run into space. And and Mazembe get the ball, they'll crash into you, strong tackles, get the ball and just boot it into space, and they'll just chase. And it's like almost like watching a Spanish style versus an English style. Not to say that any style is better than the other, but I thought to myself, man, this is really interesting. I like watching Mazembe play against North African sides because it's just a huge clash of styles. Besides the lack of quality in the attacking front line, my other observations about Mazembe were that other places they look pretty decent. They still have their highly rated young goalkeeper from Senegal, Aliou Fati. He's very tall, very good. They still have in defense, I thought uh, some pretty good pieces. And Tambwe, who was Mondeko's partner. Mondeko went to USM of Algiers, but Tambwe is still there. Uh, I forget the name of the right back. I want to say Atibu, Johnson Atibu, something like that. Jackson Atibu, I don't know. He was really good as well, very solid. Then the midfielder from Niger, Badamasi, was incredible in midfield. Very, very good player. That was an interesting clash in the midfield battle between Mazembe and Algiers. I didn't watch the second half, but from what I read online, it was much more of the same. Not too many chances created, kind of a boring match. And MC of Algiers went there probably to win a point, and they accomplished their mission. Um, we said that both of these sides were wasteful. I think that was the case again in this match. Both of them were wasteful, but I think there was probably less chances created than I was anticipating. So I predicted a draw, and there was a draw here. One thing that I didn't predict was the next match, Young Africans versus El Hilal. I thought Young Africans would have enough in Dar es Salaam to pull this off, but there's an upset here. El Hilal win in Benjamin Mkapa 2-0. And I watched the second half of this match. So the first half I was watching Mazembe. This is the same kickoff, 2 p.m. And immediately what hit me when I turned on the second half is, oh, this atmosphere is much better. There's yellow in the stands, the sun is shining. It just felt like a better, like, oh yeah, this is a real football match. This is a real Champions League match. Their fans are taking it more seriously than Mazembe's fans were. As I start watching, I see that El Hilal, especially in the first 15 minutes, have more possession of the ball. They're really the ones taking the game to Yanga. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I wasn't anticipating that. Yeah, it's not a surprise to me. I said that El Hilal could definitely win this match. They do have quality all over the pitch. They're not outranked or outclassed by Yanga by any means necessary. By any means of the, I forget what I'm trying to say, but they're definitely not outclassed by Yanga. Um, but I didn't expect El Hilal, especially after a 0-0 first half. The onus is going to be on the home team to try and take the game to the visiting team. And I saw that in the first 15 minutes, the midfield in particular of Al Hilal, of Al Hajj Madike and Walidin Khidr, they're big boys. They're tall. They win aerial duels. They won overall over the 90 minutes more aerial duels than Yanga did. Strong in the tackle, good in possession of the ball. So that's the first thing that hit me. But then I would notice Yanga counterattack, and it was very slick interplay between their front four. They had Max Nzangali on the left side, the Congolese winger, electric. Pacom Zuzwa, one of the most entertaining players of last year's Champions League edition. Stefan Azizki, the maestro in the number 10 position, and Prince Dub was deputizing as a striker. And when they would counterattack, because it was counterattacking initially, man, they had some great interplay. And at times they would cross the ball, and they threatened a few times. And here's where I was impressed with another young player. So we talked about Oscar Kabwit, 18 or 19 years old. At 20 years old, in the goal for El Hilal, you have an Ivorian goalkeeper, Issa Fofana, and he pulled off 2 to 3 very, very, very good saves in the second half of this match. So I was very impressed by him. And after he pulled off those saves, One of them, I think, was a header into the ground. He tips it over the bar. I was like, okay, made a note about that. A few minutes later, this kid, an 18-year-old from El Hilal, Adama Koulibaly, and this is going to be a theme throughout this first match day, is, man, the youngsters that we have in this competition are really impressive. But there's this guy from Mali, Adama Koulibaly, 18 years old, playing on the right wing, but he's left-footed. I didn't know they called him Messi. I never heard of this player before, to be fair. It turns out that he's 18 years old. He's the leading goal scorer in the Mauritanian league where Al Hilal are playing this year. They call him Messi, that's his nickname, and that French clubs are already right on his trail, especially Saint-Etienne, who are playing in Ligue 1. He gets the ball. He humiliates a veteran center half, Ibrahim Hamad, a Tanzanian international, and then nutmegs the goalkeeper, Jiggy Diarra, his own compatriot, who after the match he asks for his shirt. And I seen Jiggy Diarra said something about he pointed into the tunnel, but I think he just didn't want to give it to him for humiliating him like that. Scores a nutmeg on his big brother from Mali, and wow, I was impressed. And I had already seen like a few touches here and there earlier in those 15 minutes, but that goal, phew. So Adama Koulibaly and Oscar Cabrit, Issa Fofana, Adama Koulibaly. Make those notes. And then Florent Ibenge after 1-0, I think he made some very good subs, and El Hilal started defending like heroes, like the Sudanese national team does, absolute lions on the pitch. And Yanga start, getting more and more possession of the ball, but it was cross after cross after cross after cross after cross. And Al Hilal are the bigger side, and they had absolutely no trouble defending those crosses. And one of the subs that I thought Florent Ibenge did a great job with is he brought on this attacking midfielder Yasser Muzamil, who's Sudanese, and he provided some great running off of the bench. And that's how they scored the second goal. It's a long ball on a counter attack. Yasser Muzamil chases it down. Defense can't catch up with him, and he slots it home. So both of their goals, even Adama Koulibaly's goal, came from a long ball with pace, and they scored like that. So that's something that we have to keep an eye on: is what does young Africans, do they struggle to defend transition counterattacks with pace? Because that's how they conceded both of their goals here. The second one is excusable because they're chasing. They have to try to equalize. But the first one, maybe let's put it down to the quality of Adama Koulibaly. So very, very impressed by Al Hilal, particularly their young talent, Koulibaly and Fofana. Young Africans, I didn't think looked bad, but this is a new coach. He just came in, Sead Ramovic. Remember, they fired Miguel Gamondi for winning 8 matches and losing 2. I think I don't understand that decision, honestly, but I think that was probably way too premature. But yeah, good match. Al Hilal, I thought deserved to win, and this is going to be a very tight group. Young Africans are not out of it. The other 2 teams drawed, so they shared points. So this is going to be a very tough group, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it shakes out. But you usually in these kinds of groups, you have to win your home matches. So for them to lose their first home match is going to be a bit tough. Then I took a nap, and I woke up 5 minutes into the next slate of matches, and I wanted to watch Mamelodi Sundowns versus Maniema Union because most of my people that watch this channel are actually South African. So I wanted to pay attention to especially Sundowns and Pirates, especially Pirates, but Sundowns as well. So I turn on the match. Loftus is empty. Mazembe and Sundowns need to do better because, man, it doesn't look good when you're watching a match and you just see that. It's like, oh man, why would I watch this Champions League? It's for the neutral fan. So embarrassingly empty, I would say. And everything that I'd heard from Sundowns, time and time again, was that this is a different side now that Rulani Mokoena's gone. They're supposed to be more direct. They brought strikers like Rainers, like Arthur Salas, like they're going to start scoring more goals. They're not going to be as toothless. And what I saw from their first 45 minutes was practically the exact same thing that I saw last year. Excuse me, I'll take a sip. Overall, 77% possession, 5 shots on target in the entire match. That doesn't seem so different than what we saw in the knockout stages last year from Sundowns. Before the match, coach said, we know Champions League is our bread and butter. We can't afford to falter in that one. We have a huge responsibility to our fans, to our board, to ourselves, and to our families. And then after the match, he says, oh yeah, but Maniema Union is really, really good. They're better than the other North Africans in the group. Speaking about Raja Casablanca and AS FAR Rabat. There's something about this coach, man. I like respect to my elders. Probably forgot about more football than I'll ever know. He just comes off a little bit arrogant to me in some of his declarations. I don't know, something about him bothers me, you know, like some of the way he clashed with the senior players and then some of the ways he talks about his opposition at times. He needs to do a better job with the media management, the PR. But anyways, yeah, I was watching Sundowns and they're controlling the ball as usual. But again, it's very slow. They're not penetrating through the middle of the pitch. You know, they're always like it's taking forever. Um, but still, like the first 20 minutes in particular, they were all over Maniema Union. And something happens in the 20th minute where Maniema all of a sudden start counterattacking with pace in the wide areas. And here's where like hat tip to the coach because if he knew that Sundowns were going to play with a back three, which they did, I mean, the conventional wisdom is when you're coming up against a back three, especially a narrow one like Sundowns were playing, hit the wide areas in the counter attack. And Maniema were playing with five at the back, and they were sending their fullbacks, their wide backs, bombing up and down those wide areas. And I think Sundowns struggled to defend that. So yeah, counter attacked with pace in wide areas, perfect game plan. And what if Maniema are just really good? That's one of the things. Like here, we're sitting here, we're railing on Sundowns and the coach, but what happens if Maniema is really just good? That could be the case, right? So let's not be too harsh because I was impressed with how they defended. I was impressed with a few of their players. One of their wingers, Ajay Basiala, was really good, 25 years old, and their captain in defense, Ndombele, was really top as well. The way he defended and organized his troops, I thought was impressive. But yeah, Sundowns. Obviously, it's too early to talk about, oh, did we make a mistake in sacking or not sacking, but in let's say pushing Rulani Mokoena out of the club. You know, as much as we criticized him and everything, including myself, saying like they need to win the big match, they need to win the big match. Was that a mistake? Should we have done, moves heaven and earth to keep him at the club? It's too early to talk about that. I think everybody can acknowledge that. But as more of these results continue to accumulate and you're losing cup finals and you're not first in the PSL, although it's only by 3 points. So again, like this, it's way too early to have these discussions. But I do think that it's going to be in the back of everybody's mind. That's not a healthy place to be in if you're Sundowns. It's like, if we lose this match, people are going to be talking about, did we make a mistake? Did we make a mistake? Did we make a mistake? So that's going to be interesting to monitor. Now, I didn't watch any of Raja versus Asfar Rabat, the other match in Group B. I just took a cursory look at the highlights and the statistics. We talked about this being a match perhaps where, two clubs in the same country, in the same group, do they cannibalize each other? Is it a very tight, cagey affair? And this was the case. It was 1-0 until I think the 97th minute. I didn't get a chance to look at that second goal, but I'm guessing it was probably goalkeeper goes up for a corner and they get hit on the counterattack or something like that. But looking at the statistics, second most fouls after Esperance versus Djoliba, 27 fouls in that match. So it does seem to have been like a cagey, tight affair, not too many chances. There was a penalty that was missed by Raja Casablanca. But yeah, what we said before the match about they probably need another striker, they probably need another attacking wide player. Um, the atmosphere looked really good though. I saw that like the flags all over the place. I thought, wow, this is a proper atmosphere. So I didn't watch enough to comment about that, but great result for the armed forces of Rabat, and yeah, 3 points is a big deal, especially by 2 goals. So especially that the other match was a draw, so they really have a good head start in this group. Group C, I didn't watch any of El Ahly versus Stade d'Abidjan. I was just remember because I was watching Sierra Belouizdad versus Orlando Pirates, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I just remember seeing notifications like 5 minutes in, El Ahly score, 10 minutes in, 2-0, 15 minutes in, 3-0. It's like, wow, okay. And it seems like Stade d'Abidjan made a comeback. I didn't know Rajay Saleh was on the team. He's a player that was at Mazembe, very well respected Ivorian striker. So I think he was probably instrumental in them making this respectable, losing just 4-2, just 4-2. But El Ahly were completely dominant and very quickly in that match. But I haven't even had a chance to watch the highlights. I couldn't find them on YouTube. So I'll be doing that this weekend, maybe, and watching the entire match. Now, the match that I really wanted to talk about here is Sierra Belouizdad versus Orlando Pirates. Because I had been pledging to watch more Pirates because everybody was telling me, watch Pirates, please watch Pirates, please watch Pirates. Please. It's like, all right, well, what is that? What is everybody talking about? They're first in the PSL. Okay, they won the cup last year. This Mofakan guy everybody's telling me is great. Okay, let's see. This was a really, really fun watch. North African teams, and I think North African fans are really myopic, in the sense that they think they're the best, on the African continent. And I mean, the last decade of um, their track record probably justifies that when you look at how successful African clubs, North African clubs were in the African competitions, in the interclub competitions. So they think they're the best. They probably don't do enough scouting, across the continent. When I see, for example, like the Tanzanian clubs or Mazembe, like how much scouting they do in neighboring countries and how much they respect other leagues and stuff, that's not really the case in North Africa. They just pay attention to perhaps the other leagues in North Africa and Europe as well. And it almost comes off at times. This is my impression when I watch them, almost that they have like a divine right to win, particularly at home. And so for me, there's nothing funnier, even though this is my own country, the Sierra Belouizdad is a club that I love, but there's nothing funnier than watching someone that's entitled realize that, oh, like this is different. Things are different here. And you could see it within the first 15 minutes of play because Pirates came out on fire. And it's not I mean, the possession was pretty even, but some of the interplay between particularly the front four of Mufakeng, Nkota, Makopa, and Tito was it was like they would interplay, create some kind of opportunity. And you could see like the Algerian defenders and even the crowd would be like, "Whoa, like okay, these guys can ball." And it just sometimes just takes a few touches, and you realize, "Oh yeah, this is different." So yeah, that front four is what impressed me the most. And Makopa is somebody that I really criticize with Bafana over time and time again, but it looks different here. It looks like he completely understands the attacking players that he has surrounding him, and that they suit his style of play. Those free runners on the wings, that, and the first goal I think shows that when he wins the header, he flicks it on. Mofokeng takes two touches, sets up Nkota, and Nkota finishes. Now, did Mofokeng actually, the second touch is the one that's like, did he try to pass it or no? Let me know what you think. I don't think he tried to. I think he was trying to bring it under control to dribble. But Nkota slots it home. Just 20 years old. Another young player, Mofokeng, I think is also 19 or 20 years old. Again, young players are showing out in this competition. And one thing we have to stop though, Pirates fans, is like no more grittying. That celebration they do, like it's called the gritty. It's very popular in North American football. Need to stop it, man. Stop trying to be like North Americans, please, man. These guys doing it all the time. Nkota scored 2 goals and he did the gritty on both occasions. Um, what else? CRB tried to punch back immediately, and the goalkeeper Chair makes a great double save. And this was like similar to Issa Fofana's save. It's like that sets the tempo. It's like, oh, even the goalkeeper is good. Um, and that's when I started feeling the Algerians frustrated because after the first goal, I was listening and I could still hear the fans singing. It's like one of those things where okay, we conceded, but let's get behind the team. We're gonna get back into it. And then they're creating a chance, and then there's a double save. And when Pirates are on the ball and they're having that interplay, it's like, oh, this is a really good team. And when you could start getting slowly but slowly, you could start seeing the Algerians get frustrated, 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 frustrated. And then that second goal. Is it the goal of the round? And Kota picks up the ball like 30 yards from goal, smacks it with his left foot, right past an Algerian international goalkeeper, Mustafa Zarba. Wow. And then does the greedy again. Again, cut it out. But yeah, impressed by Pirates. Really impressed by Pirates. By Dion Hoto at the left back. The right back, Tabiso Munyane. First time I really watched him, I think. He reminds me of like, a really dependable, physical right back, kind of like a Denny Carvajal. This guy in midfield, Talente and Bata. Every time he was on the ball, he would pick it up from a position behind him. He would turn and he would progress the ball up the pitch. Either take one or two strides and feed one of the wingers, or immediately make the right decision. He made, I think, in that first half, every single time he was on the ball, he always made the right decision, and he always quickly progressed the ball up the pitch. Like this tall midfielder, um, I was really impressed by him. Like a progressive ball playing midfielder. Really, really impressed with him. He's like the perfect player to have as an eight, in my opinion. So Mbata was great, and then that front four are magic. And Pirates feel magic. I think there's look. I, I only watched them for 45 minutes. I turned it on again for the last 10 minutes because for the second half I was watching Pyramids versus Sagrada, which that game was over very quickly. So I'll talk about that in a second. But I only watched the first 45 minutes and I could immediately feel like something special is happening here. Like it's not easy to go to Algeria and win that match against Sierra Belouizdad in Algiers. That's very difficult to do. As much as Sierra Belouizdad have been up and down this season and very inconsistent and have been disappointing at times this season. Watching Pirates do that was that's something again that they could stick in their back pocket and be like, hey, we can go anywhere on this continent and win matches away from home. Absolutely huge result for Pirates. And I think something special is happening, like I said, not just in the CAF Champions League, in the PSL. And I'm making that assertion after 45 minutes of watching them play. I'm really excited to watch them again in the next match day, and especially against a club like it. I don't know if they're playing Al Ahly or Stade Abidjan next, but watching them play against a club like Al Ahly in Cairo will be fascinating as well. But very impressed by Pirates. Group D, Pyramids versus Sagrada Esperanca. Pyramids look good as well. I think they won 5-1. Um, this was a match that I was watching because I was eating dinner at the same time, but I was watching with one eye on dinner, one eye at the same time watching the match, and Pyramids just killed them. Sagrada Esperanca were like, you don't want to be like too harsh on newcomers just because you don't know them. You don't want to say that they're not good. But and I'm not saying they're not good, but Pyramids, first of all, their starting 11 is quality all over the pitch. Um, and they did just a great job of smothering them, keeping pressure on them, working the ball into wide areas of the pitch. And then instead of just aimlessly crossing the ball like Yanga were doing against Al Hilal, really targeted, meaningful attacks from the wide positions, whether that be a cross or a shot. And I think that starts with their wingers. Mustafa Fathi, an Egyptian international, left-footed on the right wing, and Ibrahim Adil, right-footed on the left wing. So they have these inverted wingers, but they're not just, I don't know how to explain it to you. They're not really runners like Pirates are. They're more like ball playing inverted wingers, and they really allow Mohamed Hamdi, the left back, and Mohamed Shibi, the right back, to get up the pitch, and that's where they killed Esperanza. So Sagrada Esperanza. Ibrahim Adil in particular, we talked about him a lot on this channel. I've said that this guy stinks of football, reeks of football. That's how technical he is. He dominated this match in the second half. Implicated in 4 goals. So 2 goals, 1 assist, 1 pre-assist. And I just don't know, like he's 23 years old. Another one that we can put in the list of young talent that showed out. I just don't understand, like, why isn't this guy playing game in, game out for the Egyptian national team? Because I think he absolutely deserves it. And I'm curious to see when he's going to make the transition from playing from on the left wing to centrally, because I think probably should be playing centrally. But he was he was incredible. Dribbling, passing, shooting. Um, 10 out of 10 match from him. Fiston Mayele, the Congolese striker, dominated in the air. He chipped in with a goal. Mustafa Fathi, who I spoke about on the right wing, was great too. Um, but, oh, by the way, another soulless stadium. So Sundowns are on the list of shame. Who else is on the list of shame? Um, TP Mazembe and Pyramids. Pyramids was just an empty stadium. It was like so bad to watch. So yeah, I quickly like lost interest 30 minutes in because it was already 4-0. But Pyramids, a team to take seriously. The only thing with Pyramids that I wonder is because they have no home supporters, is that going to be, I think I mentioned this in the last video, is that going to be a major disadvantage when they come against another side that has just as good of a starting 11? We'll see, but they're my early dark horses, in my opinion. And the final match, Esperance versus Djoliba. I didn't watch this live. I didn't have the chance to, but caught the highlights. It seemed like the Yusuf Belaili show. I said that Esperance um, did a great job recruiting players this year, and I said they particularly upgraded in attacking midfield and on the wings. And in this match, they started, 3 of their new recruits: Yusuf Beleli on the left wing, Elias Mokwana on the right wing from South Africa, and Abdraman Konate, the 19-year-old Ivorian in central attacking midfield. And here, their standings were, I mean, they were on display for everybody to see. Beleli starts with an assist for the fullback Raid Bushniba, who I think he was trying to cross it, but it ends up being like a slow dribbling shot to the goalkeeper. And this is such an embarrassing goalkeeping mistake. Yusuf Koita, who, by the way, is the third goalkeeper for the Malian national team, so he should have quality. And he just lets it, there's no excuse for it, no explanation. Dribble into his arms and into the net as he was on his knees. It was puzzling. It's almost one of those where you're like, this is too bad. This is suspiciously bad. Like, was he paid to? I'll never ever levy an accusation like that. But it's almost one of those that, like, it's so bad that you become like paranoid about it. Like, how did that happen exactly? Um, and then Beleli again, genius. So that's 1 assist for him. The second assist was even better in the 43rd minute. Takes the ball, makes a run. He's played into space. He's running. If the goal is right in front of him, he's running to the left, so towards the corner flag, and he's just so good, and he draws so much attention. There's like 4 Malian defenders chasing him, and without any hint of anything, backheels the ball blindly right into Elias Mokwana's feet, who slots it home. And I think he injures himself while he's doing that, and he's ruled out of the match. So I hope hopefully he makes a quick recovery, because him and Mokwana scores, by the way, or assists the third goal. Um, they were just great. I mean, this is Esperance's biggest upgrade is on the wings, because last year they had like Hussein Rasha, they had Jan Sass, who had a good Champions League campaign, and Jan Sass is still there. But the upgrade in attacking midfield is, I think, where Esperance made their biggest upgrade, and that's why I think they can challenge later on in this competition this year. I predicted that they would struggle in this match because they struggled in the league, but they just really took it to Djoliba. And it was Kosei Maasha, 17 years old, who I put in the list for the next gen article that we do with The Guardian every single year for the best under 18 or under 17 talent. He scores the fourth goal. So he has 2 goals in 3 matches this year for Esperance. So I feel really good about him there. So yeah, 4-0 Esperance. They completely dominated Djoliba. One thing I would say about Djoliba is, I go on this website Fatmob to look at the statistics of the match, and they have this tab where you could look at the age of the team, and you click on the age, and then you look at the formation, and they almost have no players over the age of 24. Most of them are 20 and 21, 22 years old. So I think because they're so inexperienced, despite the fact that they dominated the Malian League and they won the Malian Cup, I do think they're going to struggle, especially against sides like Pyramids. Um, them versus Sagrada are probably going to be it's going to be a match where these two sides should be in the CAF Confederation Cup. I think Esperance and Pyramids are going to run away with this Group D. So yeah, those are my thoughts here. So overall, poor atmosphere's list of shame: Sundowns, Mazembe, Pyramids, and the young talent on display. Issa Fofana, goalkeeper at Al Hilal. Adama Koulibaly, Malian winger for Al Hilal as well, leading goal scorer of the Mauritanian League. Messi, linked to French clubs. Oscar Cabuit, TP Mazembe's Vinicius. Kosei Maasha, one of the best young talents under the age of 17 in the world, maybe. 2 goals in 3 matches so far. Mohawan Kota and Relebohile Mofokeng from Orlando Pirates. 19, 20, maybe 21 years old, both of them. Killers. They're such good dribblers and finishers, and they're flipping the South African footballing world on its head. And Ibrahim Adil, who's the oldest of the lot at just 23 years old, with 4 goal contributions in the first leg. So hey, if there's any reason, if you even if you don't like African football, if you need a reason to watch the first or the second match day of the CAF Champions League, which is coming up in a few weeks' time, watch it because there's a lot of great young talent on display. Anyways, those are my observations from match day 1 of the CAF Champions League. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Let me know which matches you watched. Let me know which observations you had. Maybe I missed out on something. And we'll be speaking to you next Monday when there's another episode of the African Football Roundup that's going to drop. Thanks for watching again. Please like, share, and subscribe if you do. And leave us a 5-star rating on the audio platforms, and we'll speak to you again soon. Peace.